We're here with Charlie and Marianne Dye at their mid-century modern home. And Charlie and Marianne, it's a rare treat to have you two with us because you're the original owners of this home, and Charlie, you've actually taken part in the construction. As the general contractor on this home, what were some of the challenges that presented and also some of the benefits that it gave you?
Well, the challenges were basically building a home that had so much glass in it that people were saying, oh, you'll never be able to heat that home. Structurally, and the blueprints were a little more complicated than originally because there are 4 levels in the house, and quite unusual for the time.
Mm-hmm. And what inspired you to use a Robert Smith designed home?
Well, we saw some of his work, and we liked what we saw in California, so we thought, well, we'll bring a little California home with us.
Now, Marianne, some of the other standout features include the floor-to-ceiling windows, and in front of the window here in the living room, there's that unique lamp that seems to be very, very visible and noticeable to anybody who drives by.
Oh, yes. When I first saw a picture of that lamp, I thought, that is perfect. I really want one of those for myself, and it has worked out very well for us.
How did you come to eventually have the fireplace that you currently have?
This fireplace is suspended from the living room ceiling, was open all around, and okay, when we first built the house in the 50s, it worked okay, but then the day before the big snow in the winter of 78, 79, I installed a stove, and the stove has been there ever since. And the next morning after I put it up, there were 12 inches of snow on the ground.
Now, when you were building the house, you thought very carefully as well about window placement. What was important to you about where the windows were?
Well, of course, Smith is the one that figured that out. This road was just a dirt road out in front of us, and those small windows, we don't hear traffic. People don't see in. And this stained glass window being to the west gives us some sun control in this room in the afternoons.
Are there any other features of this home that you've particularly enjoyed over the past 50 plus years?
We talked with the architect. We wanted the living room, the dining room, and the kitchen all interconnecting. And so that was really about the only thing that we wanted, because some of the places in California had already adopted that.
You wanted to bring a little California back home with you, but why did you feel that you wanted to be back here in West Lafayette?
Well, our lumber company had been in business for my dad and company for years, and so I had a good job back here, and so I thought, well, it's time to go back to the lumber company and get to work when I got out of service.
Well, Charlie and Marianne, thanks so much for showing us your home today.
It's been a pleasure to have you.
We're here at the Samara house in West Lafayette with Dr. John Christian. And Dr. Christian, this is a Frank Lloyd Wright house, but you've also made it your own. And how were you able to do that, especially thinking about the color scheme is one of the first things that I noticed when I walked into the house?
After we had told him what we wanted in the living room, a space where we could entertain students, and a place that was different, and he liked that, and so he agreed to design this home. One of the things we told him, we weren't in any hurry for the plans. It was 5 years before we got any plans, and by this time he's 88 years old, and we're walking on thin ice.
What were some of the particular things that he wanted to bring to the home for you guys?
Well, he was innovating this style home starting actually in 1936, and he was developing it, and he called it the Usonian style architecture, which means architecture specific for the United States of North America. There's no basement, no attic, no downspouts, no gutters, no garage, concrete floors, flat roof. All those things tended to reduce the overall cost, and still what he was interested in was the aesthetics.
And the color scheme in the house, especially here in the living space, whose idea was that color scheme? Was that his, or?
Well, my wife had done quite a bit of research, and we had that 5-year period, and she noted that his colors were somewhat muted, and she wanted brighter colors. And she told him about that, and he didn't seem to be too interested in it. He really didn't want to do it. And Mrs. Wright, Ogabana was her name, was there at the time, and she considered herself a top interior designer. And she said, Frank, I'll help Kay with that. The two of them worked out the color scheme.
Why else do you think he was willing to take on this job?
Well, early on, he asked us about the living room. We told him our thoughts. And then just like that, he said, well, how many students do you want to seat in your living room? And we hadn't thought about that. So just off the cuff, said, well, 50. And that's what he did. This room designed to seat 50 students. And you look around and see how he did it with the long built-in seats, the overstuffs, the hassocks, there are 12 of those. These tables come apart and become seats. But the smart thing that he did, which is clearly demonstrated here, is to lower the floor, and the steps become seats. So this room does accommodate quite nicely 50 seated students.
What are some of your favorite features of this house?
It was designed specifically for our family. And he did that on the basis of determining in his mind the personality of myself and my wife and our 3-year-old daughter. And so that's what we wanted. And that's what he gave us. And that's perhaps the most significant finding in our use of this home.
Now the home is available for tours. How does that work, Dr. Christian?
The major objective of the future of this house was set up by my wife and I through a foundation. And the objective is to, first of all, maintain the structure as you see it here today, and secondly, to carry out an educational program.
How do they set up one of these tours?
I have an associate curator, Linda, who advertises her telephone number, I guess, and email, and all you have to do is contact her. We have brochures out. People find that out, and they contact her and arrange a time compatible with the group and with us.
These are just a few of the mid-century modern homes in West Lafayette. We hope you've enjoyed your visits. For Tour de West Lafayette, I'm Stephen Smith.